Welcome in, everyone. Ready to dive deep into the world of business simulations.
Absolutely. It should be a fascinating look at how these virtual businesses have evolved.
We're going way back to their origins and then looking at some seriously cutting-edge tech, especially from a company called Top by S.
They're based in Taiwan, been doing this for over 20 years, really pioneers in the field.
And they've developed 12 different simulation programs. Each one tackles a different slice of the business world.
From what I've seen, they're not just for students either.
Oh, definitely not. Businesses are using them more and more for training, even for hiring decisions. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Let's rewind.
Back to the beginning. Where did this all start? You might be surprised.
World War II, right? The war games.
Exactly. Who knew that military strategy would lay the groundwork for business simulations?
It's all about strategy and thinking on your feet. Those skills translate surprisingly well to the business world.
And that brings us to the 1950s, when the very first business simulation game came out.
1957, the business game. It was revolutionary at the time.
Can you imagine? I bet it was a far cry from the sophisticated programs they have now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The computer changed everything.
Total game changer. Suddenly you could build these incredibly complex simulations.
Between the 60s and the 80s, it was like night and day. The level of detail that computers could handle, it just blew the older systems out of the water.
And then it wasn't just universities and big corporations that could use them.
Right. Personal computers meant that anyone could get their hands on them.
And then, boom, the internet.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're talking about online simulations, multiplayer games, global competition.
It blurred the lines between gaming and learning, made it much more engaging.
And those simulations just keep getting more and more realistic.
Now they use data analytics, artificial intelligence. It's incredible.
You almost forget you're not running a real company.
Exactly. And that's what makes Top Biases so interesting. They're right at the forefront of this evolution.
12 different simulations, each one designed to tackle a specific business challenge.
They've really thought of everything. Ready to dive into some of these Top Biases simulations.
I am 12, right? Where do we even start?
Well, their flagship program is called Management Dashboard, MBS for short. It's designed to give users a really comprehensive view of how a business runs.
NBS. Sounds intense.
Yeah.
Is this one for beginners?
You could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a crash course in business management, production, marketing, finance, you name it.
Okay, so you get thrown right into the deep end.
Well, you don't just get thrown in. The whole point is to see how all the different parts of a business work together. Like, you might make a marketing decision that seems good in isolation, but boom, suddenly you have inventory problems or your HR department is overwhelmed.
Right, I see.
It's about making those connections.
So that's why they call it a dashboard. You get to see everything at once.
Yeah, exactly. And to help with that, TopBotS uses what they call the EMBG method. EMBG. It stands for Expression Method of Business Game. Basically, it's a way of presenting the information within the simulation so that it's not too overwhelming.
Makes sense. Don't want to scare anyone off.
Yeah.
So that's overall business management. What about something a little more specific? What about retail?
So for retail, they have Strategic Retail Master, or SRM. This one simulates what it's like to manage a whole chain of stores.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a lot to handle.
It is. Inventory, pricing, marketing, even things like store layout, it's all in there.
So this is based on actual retail businesses then?
Oh, yeah. In fact, SRM has been used in national competitions in China. They use it as a training ground for aspiring retailers.
I bet that gets competitive.
You bet. Speaking of competition, they also have a simulation focused entirely on marketing.
Okay, I have to admit that one piques my interest. Marketing winner, right?
That's the one. MW for short.
What I like about this one, just from the name, is that it sounds like you actually get to be in the driver's seat of a marketing campaign.
You do. You get to experiment with pricing, promotions, product placement. You can really test the waters and see what works.
I'm all about a good experiment.
Huh.
And I assume the simulation tracks how well you're doing compared to competitors.
Oh, yeah. You get real-time feedback on your strategies. It's a safe way to take risks and learn from your mistakes.
Which is how we learn best, right? Making those mistakes, but in a safe environment. So this simulation was also based on a real company.
This one actually has an interesting backstory. It was originally developed by a Japanese company for their own internal training program. TopBotS saw the potential, acquired it, and redesigned it for a wider audience.
Wow, talk about recognizing a good thing when you see it. So we've covered general business management, we've got retail, marketing. What else? They have to have something for restaurants, right?
Well, they do. Restaurant Management Guru, or RMG.
Okay, that sounds like fun,
Yeah.
but probably also super stressful. What all does that simulation cover?
Everything. Menu design, pricing, staff management, even sourcing ingredients, creating the right atmosphere for your customers, all of it.
Wow, so you really have to think about everything.
You do.
I like that they partnered with a university in Taiwan to develop this one.
Yeah, they brought in some real experts to make sure it was as true to life as possible.
Makes sense. Okay, so what else? We've covered a few different industries now. What other simulations do they have?
Well, how about something completely different? The automotive industry, Vehicle Business Master, or VBM.
Oh, wow. No, that's a big one. The automotive industry is huge.
Right. And this was actually the first simulation of its kind in Asia.
The first. Wow, they must have been pretty proud of that one. What all goes into running a virtual car dealership?
Sales, marketing, customer relations, inventory management.
Yeah.
You have to get those cars off the lot and into the hands of happy customers.
I bet this simulation was snapped up by car companies right away.
Oh, yeah. They were lining up to use it for training their salespeople and managers.
So smart. Okay, I'm seeing a theme here. Top ISS sees a need in the market, and they create a simulation to fill it. What other industries have they tackled?
Well, for those interested in the hospitality industry, they have Hotel Revenue Management, HMS for short.
So it's not all just about comfy beds and room service.
No, not at all. HMS is all about the numbers. Forecasting demand, setting room rates, maximizing occupancy, really maximizing profits.
Interesting. Okay, what else? I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, we are. There's Retail Expert, or RE, for those who want to try their hand at running a convenience store.
Keeping those shelves stocked.
Exactly. Then there's the Burger King game, TB, for those who want to learn about accounting and finance.
Wait, Burger King? Like the fast food restaurant?
The one and only. They use it as a fun way to teach some pretty important concepts.
I love that. So smart. What else?
We've also got Beer Supply Chain, or SCM. That one delves into the world of supply chain management.
From Burger King to beer, they've got it all.
And we can't forget about My Small Restaurant, or MB. As you might guess, that one lets you simulate running your own little restaurant.
They really do have it all. Global corporations to local businesses, they've thought of everything.
Almost everything. For the finance folks out there, there's Wall Street Tycoon or IPO Tour. It's all about the stock market and the IPO process.
High stakes. I can already feel the tension.
And last but certainly not least, there's E-commerce Boss, ECB, for those who want to navigate the world of online business.
Makes sense. E-commerce is huge these days. So it's amazing to see just how far these simulations have come. From those early days to what Top IS is creating now, it's pretty remarkable.
It really is. But the big question is, how are these simulations actually being used out in the real world?
That is the question, isn't it? It's one thing to create these amazing simulations, but how are they actually making a difference? It's one thing to create a realistic simulation, but are these things actually being used outside of like a classroom setting?
Oh, big time. Businesses are using them more and more.
Okay.
For training, for one. It's a lot more effective than just throwing someone into the deep end.
Right. Definitely. You can make mistakes, experiment, all without it having any real-world impact.
Exactly. Learn by doing, but in a safe environment. And it's not just for entry-level stuff either. Simulations are being used for leadership development too.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
Well, think about the skills a good leader needs. Decision-making, communication, thinking on your feet, inspiring a team, dealing with a crisis.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot. And a simulation can help you develop those skills.
It gives you a chance to actually practice those things. Lead a team, make tough decisions, see the impact of those decisions, all in this virtual world.
I like it. Less messy than the real thing.
And a lot less risky for the company.
I bet. So we've got risk-free learning, we've got leadership development. What about hiring? Are companies actually using simulations for that?
More and more. Instead of just relying on resumes and interviews, they're having candidates go through these simulations as part of the assessment process.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a much better way to see how someone actually performs under pressure, how they problem solve, how they work with a team.
It's like a much more realistic job preview, right?
Yeah.
Both for the company and the candidate.
Exactly. And as technology gets even more advanced, well, the future of business simulations is looking pretty exciting.
Okay, spill it. What's coming next?
Well, for one, AI is going to play a huge role. Imagine simulations that can adapt to your learning style, give you personalized feedback.
Like a virtual business coach.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
What about VR? I feel like everybody's talking about VR these days.
Oh, VR is definitely going to be huge for simulations. Imagine putting on a headset and stepping into a virtual boardroom, interacting with colleagues from all over the world.
Okay, now that's next level.
And that's just the beginning. It's really incredible to think about where this technology could go in the next few years.
It's like simulations aren't just games anymore. They're becoming almost an essential part of how we learn and work.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been fascinating. It's amazing to see how far business simulations have come.
It really is. From those early days to now, it's quite a journey.
And for those of you listening, here's something to think about. What if business simulations became as common as spreadsheets? Not just for training, but for strategic planning, for testing out new ideas, even for making those big business decisions. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. The potential is huge.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into business simulations. Thanks for joining us.